So I've got these curves, and right now they don't actually do anything. So this is the lesson where we make them do things. And I think that the technique we are going to use is constraints, and that we will do all of this through constraints. Constraints are objects. They're secondary objects that allow one primary object to control a different primary object. And because we're beginning riggers, they're the easiest way to work. You can see them, they have a physical representation in the outliner, they're pretty easy to delete, so if you mess up, no harm, no foul. With constraints, there are three that we're going to be using. There's a parent, a point, and an orient. Parent controls rotation and position, rotation and translation. Point controls translation, and orient controls rotation. So, as we've established, inverse kinematic motion is translational motion. We're going to be using point constraints. With constraints, selection order is really important. The control object comes first. The object that is going to be controlled needs to be selected second. So in this case, I'm selecting the curve first, and this is the curve, not the group node, so you can select it most easily in your 3D panel. So curve first, IK handle second. I'm in the point constraint option box, and if I hit apply, you'll see that it'll be fine. So you don't necessarily have to. The only thing that you might want to do is be aware of this maintain offset button. Or at least I personally, snapped my control curves into place on the IK handle perfectly. So mine definitely line up. If yours don't, you may see a slight offset where the IK handle moves into place. To be by the curve, it could be a little awkward. If that's the case, you'll want to check this maintain offset button. So just Control Z, remove the constraint, do this again and check maintain offset. Because mine are already aligned, I didn't need to. Once you've got the constraint in place, you should see that if I turn the IK handle and the skeleton off, here's my little flour sack, there's my control, and the control will now function to control that little arm. Yay, good for me. With constraints, just so you can see why I say they're easy, if I go into my skeleton, let's open this up, and let's open this up. Oh wait, I don't have to be in the skeleton because we are just doing IK handles. Sometimes I get confused when I simplify. So here's the IK handle. That's the thing that's being affected by the constraint. This little chain link is the constraint itself. So if I ever have made a constraint in error, I just have to click on it and hit delete, and it will go away, and it will be like the constraint never happened. The number one thing that I think people do is they select things in the wrong order. So it's always going to be control curve first, IK handle second. When you look visually, the IK handle should be green. The green color is the active selection. The constraint will be made on the active selection. So I'll just go through constraint. We're going to be making points. That's exactly what should happen. The constraint itself should be here. The wrist control should be clean. The other thing you'll see is if you look at the IK handle, its translates will turn blue. That means that it is being controlled via a constraint. There's the constraint. If I don't like it, I can delete it. So I'll just do this really quickly for the rest of them. I'm going to run the point constraint once, then I'll come over to the other side. Curve first, IK handle second, I'm using the Shift key, and at this point, if I press the G key on my keyboard, that will restart the previous command, which was the point constraint, remaking it. Control curve first, IK handle second, press G, and then control curve first, IK handle second, press G. Having done this 4 times, once for each limb, I can turn my IK handle layer off, turn my flour sack back on, and now as I move my control handles around, they will in fact control the model. And if I move something out of position and I want to reset it, I just have to come back into my channel box, zero out those translates, and I'm good to go. So at this point, I've made these nice, easy handles that I don't really have to worry about, and I'm feeling much better about my IK situation. So again, I will give you a moment to figure out your constraints. You should see them show up on your IK handles, not on the curves. Test it out, see what you can do, and when you're all ready, the control curve should control the model. So good luck, I hope it works, and I'll see you soon.